In today's video, I'm just gonna be showing you around the greenhouse, give you a little tour. All the cool, hardy flowers and some of the produce, they're doing all fine. They're actually doing great. None of them have really died so far. The only ones that have really given me a shock have been these Snapdragons. So last night what happened was it got down into the 20 degrees outside. Now in the greenhouse, it remains probably about 5 to 8 degrees warmer. And on top of that, I also use freeze cloth on top of the hoops here, as well as the plastic, to make sure none of those plants would have gotten any cold damage. Keep them up at a little bit higher of temperature. Here's the freeze cloth. I double layered that, and then I put a layer of plastic on top of that. But when I came out this morning and did a quick check, the Snapdragons were all droopy, and it really seemed like they were about dead. But as you can see, they're not. They actually survived. So that is amazing. So I was so anxious waiting to see how they did. My husband brought them in during the morning, put them underneath the grow lights for a little bit. And by the time he even got them, they were looking so much better than when I saw them at 7 o'clock this morning. Surviving in here in that very cold temperature at night, I went ahead and I brought in some other plants to put on this plant stand. This plant stand isn't going to stay here forever, but until we get another table built. And what I'm loving about this plant stand is you can see how we have this and it would come down, but the way the sun is shining, the sun goes right through and it can still hit those back plants. Essentially, this gives me some inspiration for what I want to build on that side of the greenhouse. So I could build another table just exactly like a copy of the one I made for the front side of the greenhouse. But if I made it in tiers like that, then I'd be able to fit more plants in less space. So I might be drawing up some designs to figure out what I want on the north side of the greenhouse, which essentially in the wintertime is actually getting more light than the south side, just the way the sun hits the roof. We have one more cold night coming up in our forecast. I think it's Saturday evening. So I'm gonna cover those plants probably one more night with the frost cloth. And also, I was thinking, so I don't know if any of you quilt, but if you buy the quilt, the cheap quilt batting, it's kind of see-through and it's really thick. So I have some of that. So on the plants on the 3-tier stand, I'm gonna wrap that up with some of that quilting batting just to keep it nice and warm for that night. The last thing that I'm gonna do for tonight for those plants is I'm gonna water the greenhouse. Now I don't have any water actually in the greenhouse or nearby, and we don't have any outdoor hoses hooked up. So I'm gonna show you the process that I use to water all those plants in our little unheated greenhouse. Let's go ahead and water this greenhouse. So what I water this greenhouse with is a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. I bought it to fertilize plants, but it's gonna work great for watering this greenhouse since the water source is a good bit away from here. Okay, so with this nozzle end that I have on, we can adjust it. We can adjust it by tightening it or loosening it. Tightening it, so this is tightened the whole way, leaves out a little mist. When we loosen it, tightening it, there we go, there we're loosening it, it's gonna have more water come out of the nozzle. For smaller seedlings, I'll tighten the nozzle so we have less spray coming out. And for larger plants, I'll go ahead and bump it up some so that it releases more water at one time.